Peace and blessings, family, friends, loved ones. Today is January the 3rd, 2021. For many of us are saying, thank God it's past 2020. This video, family and friends, is about John Henrik Clarke, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, the great Dr. John Henrik Clarke, who celebrated his birth anniversary 2 days ago on January the 1st. If you don't know who Dr. John Henrik Clarke is, he was born January 1st, 1915, transitioned on July the 16th, 1998. He was an African-American historian, professor, and a pioneer in the creation of Pan-African and Africana studies and professional institutions in academia starting in the late 1960s. He has a lot of great writings that we're going to be talking about in this video and or the next few videos that we make, Lord willing. This is an excellent subject, a significant subject. I want to talk about my teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who advised or instructed all of his followers at a Savior's Day event in Detroit, Michigan. I think it was 2006. I'll have to go back and get the actual date. It's up on my Facebook page that he instructed all of his followers to read some specific books. And one of the books or titles that he told his followers to read, he was talking to 60,000 people or more, according to the Final Call newspaper. Mr. Farrakhan was talking to over 60,000 people. He said to read the writings of Dr. John Henrik Clarke. And while on the surface level, that seems like a right thing to do, good advice, good counsel. But then as I began to look into the writings of Dr. Henrik Clarke, some of his YouTube videos, some of the things that he had written in the past, I was surprised to highlight and to know that he talked real bad at points in his life about Minister Farrakhan. I thought that was kind of unusual. If you go to YouTube, you'll see some things where the titles are very negatively labeled, Farrakhan, the con man, referring to, his skin color or yellow, or, I saw Dr. Henrik Clarke call him Farrakhan, the faker. And so I was not confused, but thrown off, and I want to look into the principles of undergirding this whole situation. So here's a man, Minister Farrakhan, arguably the most powerful Black man in America. You can tell me somebody else that can draw a crowd of 60,000 people. Tell me somebody else that draws a crowd of 60,000 people that come to hear him speak. And in a speech, he tells them to go read the writings of somebody that talked very bad about him. I say, wow. Now, would I do the same thing? Would I do the same thing? A man that says, Farrakhan, the faker, who disagreed in public, with a lot of his policies and procedures, disagreed with him in public about his tactics and how he went about what he was doing. And I was thrown off. Now, here we are again. It's 2021, celebrating and honoring his birthday, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, just a few days ago. And I'm reflecting on my teacher, the master teacher, as far as I'm concerned. Why would he tell us to go read the writings of someone that talks so bad about him? So obviously there's something very valuable. There must be something very valuable about the writings of Dr. John Henrik Clarke. So in this introduction to this subject, I just want to talk about those principles because I think we learned something, or at least I'm learning something. The principle being that the group or the people being more significant than the person. So Mr. Farrakhan decided, apparently, that the writings of John Henrik Clarke were more valuable than what he had to say about himself. The writings of Dr. John Henrik Clarke were more valuable to the people, to the group, to the whole, than his perspective on Minister Farrakhan. I mean, this is my interpretation. So there are many, 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 many of us who love both Dr. John Henrik Clarke, and many of us that love the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, for clarification, I have been following the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad since 2003. I became a registered member of the Nation of Islam under Minister Farrakhan on October 13, 2003. Had began studying in Washington, D.C. The teachings. I saw Minister Farrakhan live for the first time ever speak in Phoenix, Arizona, after I had graduated college from Arizona State and came home to Washington, D.C., was referred by a good brother to go visit Muhammad Mosque number 4. At the time, it was across the street from, in Northeast Washington, D.C., across the street from Kenilworth Projects. It's now, the mosque is up on the hill on Pennsylvania Avenue. I like to think that I helped, and I did. I helped with that transition from being across the street from the projects to being up on the hill in Pennsylvania Avenue, which is still, Southeast DC. If you know anything about DC, Southeast is still, many of our people reside there and has not been gentrified in the same way that the rest of the city has. But back to the topic, Dr. John Henrik Clarke and his writings. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, go and read the writings of Dr. John Henrik Clarke. And then later to come to find out that he talked so bad. And towards the end of his life, Dr. John Henrik, he talked so bad about Minister Farrakhan. So which one of us would refer someone, 60,000 people in the stands, 60,000. Which one, somebody talks bad about you, calls you out of your name, calls you the con man, calls you Farrakhan, the faker, calls you all kinds of, so these are personal attacks. These are not professional attacks, right? These are personal attacks that Dr. Clarke was getting into Minister Farrakhan on. But yet and still, he told all of these people, this is live and in person, but it's also recorded. This is going around the world to go study the writings of Dr. John Henrik Clarke. So if you go up on YouTube and you put in Dr. John Henrik Clarke's name, and you go up and then you put Minister Farrakhan's name behind it, let me share, some of the things that you'll come up with. Let me see. Let's see. What does it say? Dr. John Henrik Clarke versus Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's one video. Dr. John Henrik Clarke speaking about Farrakhan and Mandela. That's another video. Let's see another one. Dr. John Henrik Clarke exposes Louis Farrakhan, and it has in the parentheses Farrah, C-O-N, Farrakhan, like he's a con man. He's not. Farrakhan's blatant lies. Dr. John Henrik Clarke, Farrakhan teach self-hate is the name of another video. Analysis of John H. Clarke calling Farrakhan high yellow con man, part 1 of 2. Now this is my teacher. Farrakhan, this is my teacher. I mean, just a list, and it goes on and it goes on, it goes on. I'm thrown off. Why would this man, and would I do the same thing? Would you do the same thing? Somebody talk cruddy, nasty, foul about you? Would you refer somebody to go study that person? Well, the principle, brothers and sisters, family and friends, that I want to bring to light is the ability to see above the individual being yourself, to the value of the group, going beyond yourself to understand the value of the whole, of the people, of the group. A significant principle on display. So on this next video, I'm gonna get into just a little bit of the writings. I was somewhat obedient to those instructions given by Minister Farrakhan as to why we should study Dr. John Henrik Clarke's writings and look at some of these writings as to see why the minister would refer us to Dr. Clarke and some of the value that's in Dr. Clarke's writings. So with all of that said, look for the next video. Wishing you peace and blessings.